Welcome to Marketing Matchmaker, the show where coaches, consultants, service providers, and business owners learn the inside secrets to growing your business, increasing your revenue, and scaling your impact without sacrificing your freedom. If you're ready to unlock the strategies that will help you attract your ideal clients, refine your message, and build a business that truly supports the life you want, then stick around because today's episode is packed with insights and action items you need to take your business to the next level. Let's dive in. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Marketing Matchmaker. I have to say that I am super excited about today's episode because we're going to do an interview with one of my favorite clients. And he's going to tell you that I tell all of my clients this. I really don't. I love working with Walt so much. Walt, let's start with an introduction of who you are, what you do, who you serve.
Hi, I'm Walt, and I help executives who have a problem, and I help them get out of their own way so that they can solve that problem.
Awesome. See, it wasn't nearly Walt at the beginning of this was a little concerned about his introduction, and I promise it is not nearly as hard as your brain makes it sound. So we've been working together, I think, for about 6 months, thereabouts. And I don't often have my clients on the program for various reasons, but I loved your story because I think so many of the audience members can relate to it. So before we started working together, first of all, where were you at in business? Like, what were you thinking about when it came to marketing? Because I'd love for them to get a perspective of like where they might be right now.
Yeah, so the quick backstory is I started my coaching business almost 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. And the first 3.5 years were good enough. Maybe not great, but good enough. And what made them good enough is I had several coaching companies that were partners, and they would funnel me clients, and I didn't have to go out and look for those clients myself. They would just show up, wrapped in a bow, and we would begin coaching. And that was enough to more than enough for about 3.5 years. But for reasons, good reasons, those partners were no longer able to supply me clients starting about maybe a year ago now. And all of a sudden that dried up. And I realized that I didn't have maybe the skill set or the focus or the understanding to create clients on my own. And I think kind of my mindset was I am a good coach, I offer value, and they will, people will understand that and they will find me. Shockingly, that proved not to be a productive marketing strategy. And so, after about 6 months of really suddenly uncomfortable, frightening production and financials and an inability to not only get new clients, but not even really know how to get new clients in what felt like a really, really saturated coaching market, I started looking for help. And you might know this, Jennifer, you might not. Um, Before I found you, I was looking at a business that was taking a volume approach.
Right.
And it was very much, hey, this is simply about the numbers. The numbers are this. Like, if we teach you to find the emails, and then
Yeah.
you need to send out this many emails with your targeted message each month, and of that a certain percentage will show up as a lead. If you have conversations with that, a certain percentage will show up as clients. So it's a simple math funnel that we will teach you and automate for you. And and I know that you know how to do that, right? I know
Absolutely.
that you have that background and that skill set, and that's fine. It's valid. But for me, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right to say, hey, we're going to personalize this message. How? Through AI and automation. That is not the definition of personalization for
Right.
me. And if my business is built on human connection, if my business is built on authenticity, then this form of marketing doesn't feel exactly right for me. And still, I was still close to signing that check. And then I discovered something that you had written, and it wasn't specifically an email or on LinkedIn. I found it in another place, and and it spoke to me. I'm like, oh, I felt something. I'm like, this is somebody who understands me. This is somebody who gets me, who knows what I'm going through. And then it occurred to me what you did, and also that's how I want my potential clients to feel. I'm like, oh, there's another way. And that's when I reached out to you. So that's kind of the process that
I
led
love
me to
that.
you.
I love that. I think what a lot of audience members may or may not be at is kind of where you were when we first started working together, which was my first question was, I was like, okay, you've been in business for 5 years, so you know who your audience is, you know who your ideal client was is. And you went, no, actually, I do not.
I disagree. We remember this differently. I knew exactly who my audience was, and it was everybody, right? Because I
Right.
I could bring value to anybody who's willing to be coached, and therefore I didn't want to limit who I coached. Like anybody was a candidate at that phase of our working relationship.
Which is true. I think that's what the majority of people, especially in the coaching industry, think. Everybody and anybody is my ideal client. And through the process, we all learn that it doesn't actually work well, does it? Like
Mm-mm.
trying to taking that AI, the first people that you were talking to is that process. Everybody and anybody is my client, right? And it is a numbers game. If and I'm just going to give the audience kind of a breakdown. If you're talking about cold emailing people, you send out 1,000 emails, 1 to 3% of them may actually respond, right? So it is a volumes game. But you're right in that you can't personalize it, especially if you don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah. Yeah, it just felt, even though it was automated, and that if I had chosen that path, I would have been at an arm's distance. So I wouldn't have had to personally feel the discomfort of essentially cold calling, right? Because I
Right.
don't think many people enjoy that.
No.
Um, it, it, but even then, it was happening that way. Knowing that the process was out there on my behalf didn't feel representative of who I am as a coach or as a business owner.
So let's talk about that. What do you feel makes you unique in this market? What did you feel before you started working with me, and what can you say now that makes
Mhm.
you unique about what you do?
Well, maybe I'll offer a spoiler alert and share how I feel different now.
Yeah.
Before, I didn't know what to do, right? I didn't know what might work. And in a sense, I wasn't busy because I couldn't focus myself on anything in particular because I didn't know what it was that I should be focusing on. And after our work together, I'm actually a little too busy, right? Because I know what I can be doing. And it's not work at all that I dislike. And I think that's an important part of this process for me is this won't work unless I enjoy the work
Yeah.
to some degree. So it's work that I like well enough. I love coaching, and I'm good with the marketing things that I do. But the difference is before I didn't know what to do, so I didn't do anything. The difference is now I have clarity and focus on what I can be doing. And my days are busy either doing that or talking to potential clients or coaching clients that I have. So that's just a shift that I'd like to articulate. I don't think that I actually answered your question. So could you ask me the question one
Yeah.
more time, and I'll try to
So
get
I
to
was
it?
actually asking about your unique selling proposition, right?
Yeah.
What makes you unique as a coach so that why would someone hire you over the next guy?
Yeah, I have an an unique ability that you helped me realize to work with VPs in particular. Like corporate VPs are in this place of transition that is uniformly painful for them. So my proposition is to really understand the VP journey, to understand where the pain is, and to help guide them out of that pain. Now, I'll also share something that differentiates me, that I do the deeper work, and VPs are usually ready for that work. And by the deeper work, I'm not just focused on behaviors, I am focused on the beliefs that exist below the behaviors to not only illuminate the existing beliefs, but to also create new beliefs that create new behaviors that better serve the client so that they can feel more confident, more comfortable in the work that they do, and really more impactful in their own lives and for their teams and for their business.
So one of the things that we did that I loved was kind of coming up with a persona for you as the VP whisperer. And that I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of helped you dial in the message that you wanted to share a little more.
Yeah, and it took a while. Like, if you don't mind me sharing,
Yeah.
we tried a number of things. I tried several different ideal client avatars, um, and different techniques in reaching them before we found the thing that best fits me.
Yeah.
And so there's this thing, and it did take some time, but I think you noticed something particular about my energy when I talked about
We're
VPs,
yeah.
and and I shared that somebody had once called me the VP whisperer, and I was unlike any other group of executives or people in general. I was able to articulate the discomfort of being a VP, the pain that was being uniformly experienced. And even if that pain showed up for reasons that were unique to that particular human, there were themes that show up again and again for corporate VPs. And you spotted my energy when I could talk about that. And then when we did lock in on this idea of the VP whisperer, which is my avatar, is my identity, it clicked into place. All of a sudden, when I started writing my messages, when I started writing my LinkedIn posts or my emails, the words just flowed because I knew and understood who I was talking to. And I was going to put that beacon out to the world. And 90% of the world, 95% of the world is going to ignore it because it wasn't for them. But much like your message landed with me before we even started working together, the percentage of the population that I'm trying to reach will feel that message when it comes to them. So it really became easy for me to construct my message when I knew who I was talking to.
So what is it that you enjoyed most about working on your marketing in that space with me?
I felt in working together, I felt that the outcome was so unique to me. I felt it was unique to how I want to connect with people, whom I want to serve, how I want to serve them, and aligned with my values in the process, right? These are things that I am willing to do to get clients. I never feel icky about it, right? I always feel that I am reaching out to people that I can help, and that's really what the work is. Reaching out to people who are in pain, who can be better, who want to make better impact, who want to feel more confident and more comfortable in their roles. And they're out there, they're everywhere, and they're in discomfort. And if I can reach out to them and share to them that I understand their discomfort, then I can serve them. So nothing about that feels icky to me. It is all, for me, value aligned. And then you would challenge me along the way to step out of my comfort zone. And sometimes I would say, no, like I'll do it and I'll experience that. And then I'll come back and I'll
Yeah.
say, okay, that wasn't for me, but I'm not going to grow if I'm completely in my comfort zone. That's what got me to where I was last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So, if I felt willing, mostly willing as a client to do things that were uncomfortable for me. And then some of those things have continued, right? They've become comfortable in time. And it's what I needed to learn and it's what I needed to do.
I know one of the struggles that we had was your sales calls because you had been used to doing more chemistry calls with these
Hmm.
agency type of things where realistically it was just whether or not they'd already paid, right? It was just whether or not the two of you connected. Whereas when you're running your own business and doing your own sales calls, you actually have to sell them and close the deal on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I share with the audience what is the phrase that I
What's the
talked.
magic word? This isn't proprietary. Like
It's not
we're
proprietary.
going to put this out
No.
into the world.
Yeah.
So the sales call, it turns out, is about having a conversation and listening for the pain, because the pain is going to reveal itself. And it's not always, and then this is something I had to learn. It's not always a sales call, right? It's not what I would have narrowly defined as a sales call. It's actually a far broader spectrum of conversations that are potentially sales calls. Um, and when the pain is heard, then that can be reflected. And then here come the magic words. Like this is all the build up, the suspense. Would you like to know how I can help with that?
Right? Like, how
The,
easy is that?
the game changer. Would you like to know? And it is surprising how many people answer that question with yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people, especially in the coaching world, because I know every coach I've ever worked with is a giver, right? They just want to help people. That's the whole reason they're in this, or at least the ones that I work with are in in the space they're in, is because they want to help people. And oftentimes you forget that you're more likely to be able to help them long term if you actually close your deals.
Yes. Yes. That's a great point. Like with any good coaching program, right? There's a limiting belief there. Like
Exactly.
if I try to sell, then I'm not serving. And the transcendence of that belief system is, if I can close this deal, then I can deeply serve this person.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's especially in the coaching industry, that is such a powerful perspective. We are better able to serve our clients. If we are the best at what we do, then our clients deserve the best, which means we get to share with them how they can access more of that.
Yes.
Um, so, um, so as you're kind of moving along in this process of your marketing, what has changed? How has this helped your business? What have you done that's really created success for you?
I feel I'm more process oriented. Like marketing and sales feel like a process now. And so it kind of goes back to saying that my days are busy. So that's changed. I feel like I have focus and desire. I took a trip last week. I was in the back country, completely off the grid. And as I was heading out, I was kind of feeling this, oh no, like my process is being disrupted. I don't get to market. And so I think there's a real shift in my lens, a real shift in my focus that is very much where I used to say, hey, I'm a great coach, come find me. It's very much this outward focused thing where I'm looking for the need and putting out my message. So just my perspective around opportunity has fundamentally shifted. When I get interest now, like, so I'll get, and I get these messages, Jennifer, that say, your LinkedIn post really resonated with me. I'd like to talk. Well, that's the magic,
Yeah.
right? That's the outcome. That's what we're seeking. And one, I got very few of those messages before. Now I get them regularly. And before, I think it would have been an, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right? I got one. And then I wouldn't, right? Because I wouldn't understand the process that I was in. And now, as these messages show up, I calmly receive them and am clear on the next step and what I need to do to be able to have a conversation with this person that's reached out.
That's awesome. I am so excited to see your process and kind of what you've gone through over the 6 months because it has been a journey and it has fundamentally changed the way you talk about your business. I will say from the beginning to now, it is a complete 180, and I'm super excited to see where your journey takes you.
Yeah.
So, I know my audience isn't really necessarily VPs, although there might be some out there listening. So, for those that want to connect with you, how do they go about doing
For your audience only, Jennifer, does that sound sales?
that?
Fire sale for Jennifer's audience. No, please, if you would like to know how I can help, whatever you're going through, if you'd like to have a conversation about leadership, or if you feel stuck, please reach out to me directly to my email. It's Walt, WALT, at tliftcoaching.com. And I would be delighted to have that conversation and learn how I can help.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today and really sharing your story, being vulnerable enough to share what wasn't working and what has started to work for you as well. I think oftentimes people hide, which is what you kind of were doing those
Mhm.
6 months before we started working together. And
Yeah.
when for you and my audience, when you're brave enough to step out of that hiding and really step into who you are, what you do, who you serve, and speaking to them in a way that they can hear, you're better able to grow your business, increase your revenue, and scale your impact. So, for those of you that are interested in Walt, I will have his contact information in the show notes. For everyone else, if you are struggling with your marketing, head over to yourmarketingmatchmaker.com and schedule a free strategy session. I promise you will walk away with at least one actionable item that will help you to grow. Thank you for listening to the Marketing Matchmaker podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear your feedback. Please head over to Apple, iTunes, and leave a review so we can hear from you. And if you are a coach, consultant, or online course creator who are looking to grow your business, increase your income, and scale your impact, connect with me at yourmarketingmatchmaker.com. I look forward to hearing from you.